Sawumbona to Southern Africans, Abari is a Jioni to East Africans, and Akwaba, which means welcome in Ghanaian language to everyone out there. This is Report Desk Africa, where you not only get to see some of the biggest stories in Africa this week, but also get to hear the backstory and insight into some of this story. And I do not walk alone. I am NIYI, OMONIYI.
My name is Blessings MOSUGU, and on today's program, we'll be touching on different parts of a continent, from Botswana to South Africa and down here right in Nigeria. We'll be discussing some of these African countries who made it to the UK's travel red list and the recent removal of some of these countries from the list and the reasons for that.
I can say without mincing words that the decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list just because of less than 2,000 cases of Omicron, which, by the way, did not originate in Nigeria, is unjust, unfair, punitive, indefensible, and discriminatory.
Now that there is community transmission of Omicron in the UK, and Omicron has spread so widely across the world, the travel red list is now less effective in slowing the incursion of Omicron from abroad. So I can announce today that whilst we'll maintain our temporary testing measures for international travel, we will be removing all 11 countries from the travel red list effective from 4 a.m. tomorrow morning.
That was the UK's Health Secretary Sajid Javid announcing the lift on the travel ban on 11 African countries, including Nigeria, a few days after the Nigerian government termed the travel ban as unjust.
Now, you remember that Angola, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Malawi, Mozambique, Namibia, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Zambia, and including Nigeria, were some of the African countries on the UK's travel red list following the emergence of the Omicron variant, while the issuance of visitors' visas to Nigerians looking to come into the UK was also suspended. Although COVID is still around the corner, this might be good news for some who wish to travel to the UK for the holidays.
Good news indeed.
It is.
So today on Report Desk Africa, we'll be analyzing these issues surrounding the Omicron red list. And joining us to discuss this is aviation editor Chinedu Eze and media expert Nnamdi Ekuba. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here.
All right, nice to have you.
Nice to have you, Nnamdi. Okay, so we'll go straight from you while we expect Mr. Chinedu to join in later. Nnamdi, I understand that you're now off quarantine, okay, in the UK.
Yeah.
But before the travel ban, Nnamdi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so before the travel ban, there were rules that people had to follow before the travel ban was lifted. All UK arrivals from red list countries must pay for and self-isolate in a pre-booked government-approved hotel for 10 days. They must also take COVID-19 tests within 48 hours of setting off for the UK and PCR tests within 2 days of their arrival. Now, some arrivals have already paid thousands of pounds to stay in government-approved quarantine hotels. And there have been complaints of chaotic organization and inedible food during their stays. What do you think about this? Is the status still like that? And what else has happened since the ban has been lifted in the UK, especially for people now traveling over there?
Thank you, Nii. I would say this. It was shocking, actually, before the announcement for the ban came as a shock to most people who are in Nigeria. And going back and knowing that you're going to pay over 2,000 quid to stay in a government hotel for quarantine was shocking to me, because you are double vaccinated and you are not allowed to go home. And I start to ask, what's the reason for your double vaccinations? So you go. For me, I'll tell you how it happened for me. So went straight to flew into the UK. Just a few people. I think we're just like 51 passengers on board, because most people are not traveling anymore. And we got in through a particular terminal that was for people flying in from red list countries. So that was another problem. You're being treated like you have something like a leper, actually. So you go in there, they give you a slip of paper, they take you to a government assigned hotel. You don't get to choose. That's the problem. So you don't get to choose. You move to the government assigned hotel. Then you are locked inside the room up until the 10 days for those who stayed. I was one of the lucky few who got out after 5 days because of removal from the red list. I had issues with the food. But I would say, as against the other videos I saw of other people in different hotels who were living in very terrible circumstances, I think the hotel room I was in was pretty good. But the food was terrible. I think the treatment was terrible too, because I didn't see any reason why you should be treated that way. But at the end of the day, being taken off the red list, we got out that same day. That was yesterday for me. I got out yesterday. I think it's the people who remain in that place are people who tested positive for their day 2 or day 8 tests. But if you didn't test positive, you tested negative, then you're free to go. So they're taking their measures, but the cases of Omicron keep rising in the UK. And I'll tell you this for free: it's not from those flying into Africa. It's just people who are careless in the UK, actually.
Nnamdi, would you say you were treated differently, or you experienced what you experienced because you were African, or others who also came in, that were foreigners or Europeans, were treated better?
No, I think everyone was treated the way they were treated. I wasn't treated differently because I was African. I was treated differently because I came from a red list country. So everyone who came from a red list country was treated that way. You're white, you're black, you're African, you're from wherever. If you're coming from a red list country, you're treated differently. I was just one of the lucky few, I would say, that got into a better looking hotel. That's how I put it. But the treatment was just the red list treatment.
Okay.
And I think that was unfair.
All right, let me bring Chinedu in at this point. Now, aside the UK, which has lifted its travel ban, Canada and Saudi Arabia still have an active ban on various African countries. Nigerians and other African countries have described the travel ban as travel apartheid, now stating that only 7 out of the 11 African countries on the red list had reported cases of Omicron. Chinedu, what's your take on this? Is a travel ban the way out, or a better global approach in this case? Chinedu, could you please unmute? We can't hear you.
Are you hearing me now?
Yeah, clearly.
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Chinedu, go
yes,
on.
we can. You can go ahead.
Okay. The decision to put African countries on the red list is a kind of a knee-jerk reaction, because by the time they did that, they were not sure about how later the variant of Omicron is. It's just a kind of a reaction, because they are dealing with African countries. They just felt, okay, let us just do this. And in fact, the International Air Transport Association said that it was a Pavlovian reaction. That their action was a Pavlovian reaction. And what the head of the nation said, this is not the solution. We have to find out whether this Omicron, how dangerous it is, whether it is even what should make you to ban flights. So the decision in the UK realized that it wasn't a good decision they took. And they stopped. They removed all these countries from the red list, even before the day they promised that they would review it. They were supposed to review it on 20th of, that's the next Monday. But before that Monday, they removed the countries from the red list.
Chinedu, now fine, they removed them from the red list, but our concerns of people would be, was it because the Nigerian government specifically now spoke up? Was that the reason why they were removed from the red list? Because they were not the only one on the red list. Other African countries were also on the red list. Is it because they've not spoken up? That is why some of them still remain there? Or was it because of, would this be as a result of the federal government speaking, or the federal government of Nigeria speaking up against it and calling it unjust? Would you say that's the reason?
Yeah, first of all, Nigerian government spoke up. There was an outcry. There was a shock because there was no connection between Nigeria and the discovery of the Omicron variant from South Africa. There was no reason to put Nigeria on the red list. But you have to also know that Nigeria has a special relationship with the UK. So you don't expect other countries to react the way UK reacted, like US, like Saudi Arabia, So the relationship between the UK and Nigeria is a special one. That Nigeria was shocked that Britain put them on the red list. Then about the other countries, it's the same racism kind of thinking, why they use the word apartheid. Just as I told you, IATA said this is a knee-jerk approach. This is a Pavlovian reaction, because you have to get the details from the scientists to say, okay, this is very dangerous. This option of banning flights is the best or the very effective one. But from all the things that have happened now, it wasn't a very effective decision, and it was taken more out of emotions than reality.
Right. Chinedu, let me just chip this in. Would you agree that it's actually an apartheid move, seeing how other countries recorded this Omicron variant, but then African countries were banned? Because you just mentioned it. So would you say you agree to that statement?
Yeah, I agree, because as the Netherlands later confessed, kind of, that they had this Omicron even before South Africa announced it. And UK and this other country did not ban, even when the Netherlands made the announcement, they didn't even say anything. There was no reaction from UK or those other countries that banned those 11 African countries.
Nnamdi, now this is to you. Other countries are placing travel bans around the globe. In fact, some European countries are placing ban on African countries. Just like the first time we witnessed the first variant, African countries were the last to actually stop travel. Will it be safe to say African countries are not doing enough to contain the virus in terms of testing and vaccine availability?
Well, I think I can speak for and I can speak against that. But I think I would rather say no. I think African countries are doing enough. We just mentioned South Africa as the country who first mentioned this new variant Omicron, and of course we do know South Africa is an African country. And if you look at UK, they are doing enough, in quotes. They are doing enough to battle COVID, but their cases keep rising in the thousands every single day. So the question is, what are they doing wrong? They're doing everything right. So I think Africa is blessed in a way, because this was already said a few months ago. They said most of the European countries, especially the UK, during winter would have a very huge spike on coronavirus and how it affects the people. We already know that it feasts more on people during winter, and Africa is practically most times hot. So Africa are doing the best they can, and I think the best they can is okay so far, unless it gets worse, because I'm looking at other European countries and their numbers by the day, it keeps rising. As at yesterday, the UK were talking about over 40,000 positive cases of coronavirus, and that's a country that everyone feels is doing enough. So as against the European countries, I'll say Africa is doing well. We can do better as Africans. We can do better as an African continent. But so far, so good for Africa.
I would like to ask this question now. Are Africans Africa's problem? Now, why I ask that is because, when the vaccine first came in, there were so many reactions to it. Some have actually even termed the vaccine 666, which is an ideology in terms of Christianity. Now, even till now, some are still, feeling some way to taking these jabs. That's why I said, are Africans really Africa? Yeah, we know that the supply of vaccines might not really be adequate or sufficient to go around. Yes, some of the European countries are getting more of these vaccines than African countries. Are Africans really Africa's problem?
I'll say this, and I'll say it very clear. When I was staying in Nigeria, I think I was pretty hard on Africa and pretty hard on Nigeria as a country. But at the end of the day, of course, I used to be a sports journalist and all that. There's a French station that said something yesterday. They said they have stopped sending their people to Premier League stadiums to go cover Premier League matches, and they asked him why. He said because he's yet to see most of the English fans wearing their face masks at stadiums. Why I said that is this: if that happens in Africa, I think most Africans would be very critical about it, and probably the European news agencies would say, "Oh, see, Africa, they're not even being careful." But I think that Africans might be Africa's problem. Likewise, Europeans might be Europe's problem. And we've seen this over and over and over again. Africans have realized that as Africans, we should take care of ourselves. We should be careful before we go to hospitals or before the government even tells us to wear face masks. We are very careful. But for the Europeans, I've noticed that the government need to tell them to wear face masks before they do that. And that's where the problem is. They also have here, at least in the UK, they are anti-vaxxers, people who don't believe in the vaccine. So if Africans are saying, if they are the Africans saying 666, there are so many people in the UK who are still saying, well, we don't believe in the vaccines and all that. So I think it's not Africa, it's just the individual. And I think Africans have done well. They have responded. At first, yes, we know they had issues with vaccines and we called it different things. But also, if you come to the UK, you would see people who are here who haven't taken even the first dose, not because it's not available, it's because they don't believe in it and they don't want to take it.
Right.
So Africans are not getting enough credit for what they are doing.
That's what I say.
So yeah. I want to still stay on that question, right? So you talked about anti-vaxxers, even in the UK, in Europe. That means everywhere in the continent there are people who do not believe in getting vaccinated, who do not want to, believe that there is even COVID. So Chinedu, let me ask you this: do you think that is the reason? That's a major setback for the rapid spread of the new variants and even the normal COVID-19 variant? Do you think that's the reason why it keeps spreading? Because there are people who do not believe in getting vaccinated and then they keep getting infected and infecting others.
Yeah, yes, that's a challenge. There are people who do not believe that there is COVID. It's also a challenge in Africa as like other parts of the world. But there is one major thing. For Africa to really get vaccinated, it's not this present handout that Europe and these other advanced countries are giving to Africa. We should be producing the vaccine here in Africa, Nigeria, South Africa, and these other places. We should be producing the vaccine. Then there should be more a firm action by government to make sure that people get vaccinated. They must find a way to do it. But there is doubt. There are many people don't even believe in it. Then another challenge that we have is that the West believe that not only that Africans are not vaccinating, but we don't have the records for them. Many Africans are dying of the virus, but there's no record for it, which is not true. Anyway, if you look at using Nigeria as a case study.
Okay, thank you, Chinedu. Thank you. Because of our time, I'll just ask one last question. I'll throw this question to Nnamdi. Now, Nnamdi, do you think the African Union, that's the AU representing African countries at the international scene, is actually doing enough to provide everything that is needed by Africa to fight this pandemic?
I don't think so. I don't think they're doing enough. I think countries are taking responsibility for their own countries, and that's why Africa is not where it's supposed to be as regards the vaccines and every single thing. AU should have a voice. They'd be able to speak out and speak to the European Union, speak to every other body about this, because it's big. It's not like malaria. It's something that if I have, the person close to me will have. If you have it, the person close to you will get it. and we have to take it seriously. AU, as far as I'm concerned, is a body I really don't understand up until now. I think for Africans, the presidents, the people running their countries, are just taking responsibilities for their countries, and I would say they're doing the best they can, looking at the circumstance and the things that are happening.
Right.
So I just want to follow up on that, Nnamdi. Now, we're talking about AU. Who are the people in AU? These are African leaders as well, people who are heading their countries or their nations somewhere, somehow. Now, it's not the first time we're talking about less representation in the AU, even when it had to do with globalization. Yes, Africans were complaining that Africa has not been properly represented. What can we do about African leaders so they can take necessary steps to make sure that Africa is at the forefront of fighting this pandemic?
Well, I was in Nigeria when the Ebola virus hit the country, and how quickly it happened and how it stopped from nowhere. And most people were talking about how good it was and how they reacted quick. And you start to wonder why the reaction isn't the same with coronavirus. Is it because it's not as deadly as Ebola virus? I think Africans can react if they want to, if they choose to. African leaders, that is, can react if they want to or if they choose to. But we haven't seen that so far. What do they need to do? I think they need to move with the time. People are moving, people are getting advanced, things are changing, the world is changing, and they have to change with time. I don't know how they want to do it. I'm trying to be as careful as possible, but I think they just have to move with time and understand that things have changed. I think that's just it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nnamdi. In 30 seconds, Chinedu, do you agree with what Nnamdi just said?
Yeah, I do agree. I agree with him. There is no, the AU is not very active. Everybody just waiting for the West to bring in the vaccines.
Right.
To donate vaccines. Right. That's not the best approach.
Okay.
Hopefully very soon the African leaders begin to take steps that would actually, help curb this pandemic, because it doesn't look like it's ending anytime soon. And God willing, we don't get another variant coming up aside Omicron. Omicron is already doing a lot of damage.
Hopefully not. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, like you said, hopefully we step up our game, because it's a lot different variants coming up.
It's even harder now because it's a season. It's a beautiful season that people want to travel on a normal day. Like, of course, I know I've traveled right now. I've traveled to my hometown, at least if I can't go out of the country. But people cannot travel right now. People are scared to travel. The Omicron has not really been dissected. People don't know what to do. But hopefully we get, proper, to solve the problem. And
hopefully.
My God's grace.
Okay, thank you so much. It's been a lovely episode on Report Desk Africa today, and thank you for joining us. Join us again next week as we dissect more issues. My name is Blessings MOSUGU.
And I am NIYI OMONIYI. Thank you very much for joining us.